guys, I'm Jordyn, and let's talk about physical and mental health. So this is mainly going to focus about health within the center, both physical and mental. With physical, we're always on the go, whether it's class, work, we're just kind of doing our own thing. And with that, I feel we don't as really make the time to make sure we're physically okay, as well as mentally okay. With the workload that we have, I feel as though a lot of college students don't really prioritize their mental health, and then that gets them in trouble when they have all of these, larger projects, especially when finals comes around, and then you feel like an elephant sat on your chest, and it's just like, how do I function? So we're gonna help you out a little bit, okay? So for the physical, I have sleep, nutrition, first aid, and prep for emergencies. Yes, the prep for emergencies is a jump. Stick with me, okay? So sleep, 7 to 9 hours, just try, please. I know the schedule and somehow, it'll work. It'll figure itself out, but it's most important for you because you can't fully function the way you want to. Even if you feel you can function on 2 hours of sleep, it's not working, and we can all tell, please. So, nutrition. So drink as much water as you can, eat whenever you can. Please don't come into your shift, stay there for 5 hours and then go, oh, well, I haven't eaten anything. Even if it's M&Ms, even if you steal the Halloween candy that's from like Plot-a-thon or something, like just, please, just something in your gut to keep you going through the day. So for first aid, we just wanna make sure we're ready for those certain like mishaps or injuries or whatnot, whether it's asthma, allergic reaction, those things are very common, but we want to make sure we're always prepared for when these things do happen. And then prep for emergencies. We have the first aid. We should all know what 911 is, please. And we should have AEDs somewhere on each side of the library. So we just need to make sure that we have a thorough plan of how we're gonna go about that inside emergencies. And so for basics of first aid, I'd say that we should probably focus a lot on like anaphylaxis, asthma, bleeding, seizure, as I feel as though those are the most common things that could happen within the center. So for anaphylaxis, people could be allergic to nuts, pollen, bee sting. You could take like the wrong Tylenol if you're allergic. Just making sure that we have, like, everyone knows you have an EpiPen if you have an EpiPen, and knowing how to and when to administer that EpiPen. For asthma, it's kind of the same deal, just, stress, anxiety, allergies, strong odors can really set asthma off. So you wanna make sure that, like, if someone has an inhaler, that's also made a plan, and you know how to use that if they themselves can't use it. For bleeding and trauma, FAST is the acronym, first aid for severe trauma. Just stopping blood loss, whether that's just applying pressure with your hands, taking your belt off and putting it around the person's thigh and just, Ramboing, that always helps. And then for seizure, we're dealing with convulsions and loss of consciousness, and that could be really sudden and it could be very scary. So when those things happen, we want to make sure we're all prepared. We want to make sure that the person is in a place where they can't, further concuss themselves, because that can happen. And if it's happening for too long, then that's when brain damage can start to happen. So we want to make sure that we're always prepared for when that happens. I'm not saying that that's a foolproof plan, but it can really save someone's life in the time being. So we'll do a little CPR refresher. First thing you want to do is check if the seat is safe. It should usually be safe. And then, you want to say who you are, use the shout, tap, shout method, which is just, tap, tap, tap. Hey, are you okay? Tap, tap, tap. And then once you check that responsiveness and any of the life-threatening injuries, if there's no response, you want to call 911. whether or not there is a response, you still want to call 911. And throughout this, I use the American Cross guidelines. So, you want to use two hands centered on the chest with your shoulders directly over your hands and elbows locked. You should feel like you're hunched over when you do this position. It's not meant to be comfortable. It's meant to be really tiring, because at the end of the day, you are trying to restart someone's heart. You want to get in there. So the compression should also be 2 inches deep. You're starting someone's heart. So those compressions should be 100 to 120 chest compressions per minute. Allow the chest to fully return after each compression, or else we get some issues with, breaking ribs, yes. You want to give 2 rescue breaths and continue giving compressions until the AED or 911 comes, and then you let the professionals handle the business, Next, please. So again, why stress mental health? Besides me having a cute little minor in psychology with being a health science major, I feel very strongly about mental health. I do think it really does make or break a person. So I kind of pulled a bit of information together of just as of 2021, 73% of college students reported severe or moderate psychological distress. I do feel as though we had more resources, this could have been very prevented, especially because this is during probably the height of COVID, 2021, 2022 era. And I think we're still feeling those effects now. Again, it can hinder both coursework and work, relationships, social life, even down to sometimes like your housing, your job, And then it prevents chronic disease and risky behaviors. I love the word risky behaviors. It doesn't really imply what you think it means. It's just risky behaviors are like alcoholism, drinking, smoking, just things that could be dangerous to your health that we know are dangerous, but it's kind of normalized in a sense. So how can we check in on each other just for our mental health's sake? So I put stress management, just adding coping skills like mindfulness, deep breaths, even just taking a small break is always, a good idea, just to kind of get yourself back to where you need to be. For social support, asking each other how we're doing, if someone looks a little down, because trust me, sometimes that does happen. You get to work and you have to work, but you also you're sad, you're upset, something's happened in your life, and you don't always have to put that mask up. You can always just ask someone for some help. And then fun activities like engaging with each other outside of work and making sure you have that small community that we're trying to build in the center. Next, please. Okay, so this is a fun one for me, not just because I've been taking Health 490, which is queer health topics. I do recommend that class. Please take it if you can. It's very knowledgeable. But I just want to make sure that with the diverse amount of people we have, both culturally, we want to make sure that we're respecting those around us, respecting the opinions, the background, the language, just making sure that we make it a safe place for those of color, as well as, of different genders and sexualities. We need to make sure that when whether it's someone working here or coming into the center, that we're respecting the preferred name of someone, the preferred pronoun. That doesn't always mean you need to outwardly ask, and sometimes that can really be a little detrimental to the safe space. But if it's something where someone says, hey, this is my preferred name, you need to make sure that's being said, because that could be very detrimental to the mental health and also to their physical health if it goes on for long enough. Because being unsafe for such a long time puts you in this like, you know, fight or flight mode that can really just hurt you in the end. So I always say, let's respect the people around us, and we'll be okay. Okay. So how can we make sure we stay prepared? We'll create a plan for emergencies or crises, because a mental health crisis is just as important as the emergencies, whether that's taking someone to CAPS or taking someone to urgent care, you know? But we'll have to start gradually, which is why I talked about a first aid kit, the AEDs. Knowing those locations would be very important, making sure that we have everything packed up and readily available, so it's not hard, so you're not fumbling around when someone needs, you know, a Band-Aid or a tourniquet. And just knowing those locations of CAPS, of the AEDs, of the first aid kit. Yeah, I think that we can really make sure that we're all safe. Thank you guys. This was really fun to make, and I hope you take something away from it. Even if you don't, you unconsciously learned about 5 new things that you could apply to your repertoire. Thank you.